Can you believe we have 4 lefties in today's lineup? Who are these guys and what have they done with my Yankees? Gleyber Torres is back out there at shortstop. Let's hope he can stay in there for all 9 innings today. Joey Gallo out there in right field. He was 0 for 4 in his debut, but he would have had a dinger if we were in the Bronx. Aaron Judge out there in center field once again today. Anthony Rizzo hit a 449-foot home run in his Yankees debut. He is at first base. Giancarlo Stanton will play the outfield for the second consecutive day. He is out there in left. Rougned Odor quickly winning over hearts and minds. He is at second base. Gary Sanchez bats 7th. He is behind the dish. Tyler Wade out there at third base today. Gio and DJ both out of the lineup tonight. And on the mound, fresh off of his near no-hitter against the Red Sox, Domingo Germán. He is 4-5 on the season, 4.45 ERA in 20 games, 17 starts, 93 innings, 90 strikeouts, impressive 1.172 whip. Let's get it on. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, makers of the Lawnmower 4.0 and the Performance Package. A lot of people ask me, how can they support the podcast? And one way that you can do it is by supporting my sponsor, Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0. This thing is an amazing little tool. It's got the skin-safe blade. It prevents nicks, tugs, all that uncomfortable stuff. It's got this LED spotlight in case you decide to trim your beanbag during the middle of a blackout. It's waterproof, so you can take it in the shower. And look at this box. This is an amazing box. Nothing shitty has ever come in a box this nice. Wireless, it's rechargeable, it's quiet, and you can save 20% and get free shipping by visiting manscaped.com and using the code NYY Recaps at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping using the code NYY Recaps. Your balls will thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
Before we get started, I want to wish a get well soon to my favorite player of all time, Donnie Baseball, who tested positive for COVID, was not in the dugout tonight. The epitome of class and toughness. Hope Donnie's going to be okay. I think he will be. I'm liking this Anthony Rizzo guy. I mean, look, 2 games, 2 home runs. You can't complain about that. Stanton has played consecutive games in left field without landing on the 60-day IL. How about a round of applause for Mr. Giancarlo? Also, I know it's a Yankees channel, but the Marlins uniforms today were absolutely gorgeous. And the catcher for the White Sox hit his first 3 home runs in the same game. So, a couple of noteworthy things tonight. Remember to vote for the belt winner in the chat. Hashtag Rizzo Repeat if you think, as I do, that we have a returning champion. In the second inning, Giancarlo hit a laser beam off the left field wall for a double, 116 miles an hour off the bat. Rougned Odor picked up a big RBI single, and Gary Sanchez picked up a ground rule double to make it 2-0. That line drive by Giancarlo was a thing of beauty. I don't think it got 50 feet off the ground. It was smoked. He hasn't hit one like that in a minute. Gary Sanchez nails a runner at first base in the bottom of the second. He's been throwing behind runners a lot lately. Very quick and accurate tag by Rizzo on the play. Very underrated part of that play. Yankees leave the bases loaded in the top of the third. What else is new? They left, I think, 19 men on base tonight. Way, way too many. Tyler Wade picked up an opposite field knock in the top of the fourth. 2 straight days with a hit for him. Nice bunt by Domingo Germán, but again, Yankees don't score. Bottom of the fourth, Marlins get on the board with a double by Alfaro to make it 2-1. And then Alfaro scored on a wild pitch that hit the umpire in the face, and the game was tied at 2. Marlins later intentionally walked Wade to load the bases in the 5th, and that forced Boone to take out Germán and pinch hit for him with Urshela. Germán looked like he was out of gas anyway. Yankees don't score. Germán went 4 innings, gave up 2 runs, 5 strikeouts. Solid night, not great. His ERA remains unchanged at 4.45. Wild pitch scores Rizzo, and the Yankees go up 3-2. Alfaro is a terrible backstop. He just looks awful back there. Lucas Litke threw 2 very solid scoreless innings in the middle of the game. And then Anthony Rizzo, are you kidding me? Where have you been all my life? Second home run in as many days. Deep to right field, 410 feet.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
I think that one definitely goes in the second deck at Yankee Stadium. Yankees did leave too many men on base, so thank goodness for Anthony Rizzo and Rougned Odor and pass balls. Johnny Lasagna comes in the ninth and closes it out. Ball game over.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Now, I think that it is pretty much a foregone conclusion who the belt winner is, but we have a repeat winner, Anthony Rizzo. Now, I saw we had a super chat, but I generally don't answer super chats when they come in while I'm doing my recap. So I got to scroll back and look at it. Jordan Martin says, my father, a lifelong Yankees fan, has passed away today. Hey, let's hear it for Jordan's father, Mr. Martin, I'm assuming. So sad to hear that, but at least the Yankees won in his honor. So let's hear it for Jordan's dad. Yankee fan for life. So Henry Chiansky says, just think, 2 more months of this. Fall baseball when the Yankees ghosts come out. Now, let's not put the cart before the horse. The Yankees offense today still had 19 men left on base. We're seeing some better things. Like, there's ebbs and flows throughout the season. Different parts of the team will have ups and downs. Early on this year, the rotation was lights out. At times, they haven't been very good. You know, there was a time when the bullpen was lights out, and then they stunk. And now today, 5 shutout innings for the bullpen, 15 outs out of the bullpen. And I think the Yankees have like 11 more games in a row. They play tomorrow against Miami, and then they play at home against Baltimore, and I want to say the Mariners follow it up. It's going to be a long stretch, so the bullpen has got to be ready. Yankees did acquire some new bullpen arms. But, you know, let's not go overboard with a couple of wins against the Marlins. The Yankees have a lot of work to do. They have got to take advantage of this stretch of games. Joey Gallo took the collar tonight. 0 for 4, walk, strikeout, more true outcomes. This is something we should get used to. And it's not a bad thing, honestly, because, you know, he hits home runs every so often. Like he averages them, I think, more than pretty much anybody in the league, or just about. And so he's going to hit one soon. And the fact that you won 2 games in which he's just getting settled in and hasn't really done much, well, one of the next few games, he's probably going to hit one. And it may mean something. You know, if he had hit a home run today when you're winning already, sure, it's nice, it's fun to see, but, you know, maybe he runs into a 3-run shot when the game is tied in a couple of days. KG Baseball says 20-game win streak. I'm calling it. I don't know if this team has a 20-game win streak in them. This is not a dominant squad like that. I could see a 6 or 7-game win streak against the Marlins, Orioles, and Mariners. I could see that. But eventually somebody's going to have a bad night. I don't think 20 is You know, if the Yankees over the next 20 games go 17-3, I'll be happy, because that'll gain them 4 or 5 games in, you know, the standings, whether the wild card or the division. Right now, the last I checked, the Rays are beating the Red Sox tonight. Ernest Gonzalez says, serious question, who comes off the team when Sevy, Kluber, and Voit are ready to return? You know, maybe nobody. Maybe they hold these guys out till September when the rosters expand by a few. I think the rosters expand to maybe 28. They add a couple of guys. You know, I'm not sure. And we're also assuming that everybody's going to be healthy, right? There's a solid chance that somebody could have an injury. We've already got 2 guys that are nursing injuries right now. DJ LeMahieu with the tricep issue. Gio Urshela with a hamstring issue. He had a pinch hit tonight. I still feel like the bench is a little thin. You know, if you had to put DJ on the IL for 10 days or whatever, at least Rougned Odor is swinging the bat really well. I'm liking the idea of leaving Giancarlo out there in left field, but, you know, with that, there's always the risk that he could end up on the IL. So things, I think, will work themselves out at some point. Let's see here. Shub says, who's teaching these guys how to play defense on the shift? I mean, I think the computers kind of lead to however they position everybody. SB Game says, do you have any tips on growing my gaming channel? SB, I'd love to talk to you personally about that. This probably isn't the time and place for it, but I would say for anybody who wants to build a channel, consistent content, I think that posting around the same time every day so that you develop an audience and they get into kind of a habit of coming at the same time is a really good idea. And, just building an interaction with your community. That's kind of what's worked for me. Tried to provide high production value. Obviously with gaming, you don't need a ton of production value, but it is what it is. Cade Ofisa says, Voit DH when he comes back. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If you bring Voit back and put him at DH, you can put Stanton in left field, and then Aaron Judge out there in center field and Joey Gallo in right. You can also flip-flop those guys. We mentioned that the other night. Gallo plays center field sometimes too, so maybe they put Judge in right field at Yankee Stadium and put Gallo in center field, and then on the road they go Judge in center field, Gallo in right field. That works for me. That way you're kind of not taxing these guys too much. You're kind of alternating them. And those are two pretty good defensive outfielders. Giancarlo, when he's healthy, is a good defensive outfielder. I saw another super chat come in a minute ago from the Earl of Demise. Rizzo looking like the player we've been needing. Hey, you can't argue with back-to-back belt winners.
Let's go. Belt winner.
Word Lifer says, making Cashman look like a genius. Let's not go that far. I don't know if you guys caught the interview that Brian Cashman did where he was talking about the acquisitions that he made. He talked about, how they tried to get Gallo. And it was filmed like it was like nostril cam, where he put the phone on the desk. He couldn't be bothered to set it up on a shelf or something like that. I mean, I don't blame him. He's not a broadcast guy. But he just sounds like he's pretty upset about how this season has played out, how it's unfolded. He's very, he's grumpy. He sounds a little grumpy, and I don't blame him. BB says, Odor is 396 for the last 30 days. That's pretty damn good. That is pretty good. And I saw a great comment here for for Joey Gallo, and I lost it, where 12.6 at-bats for every home run, I think it was. Best in baseball. I missed the comment. I'm not sure where it is, but absolutely beast mode this year for Joey Gallo. And look, it's been 8 at-bats, right? Or maybe 10 plate appearances, something like that, since he got to the Yankees. I don't remember how many he had yesterday. I think maybe 4 plate appearances yesterday. Today, 5 plate appearances, 0 for 4 with a walk. So he's either going to run into one tomorrow or on the next homestand at Yankee Stadium. I wouldn't complain if his first home run as a Yankee is a nuke into the second deck against the Orioles. That would be beautiful. Brian Daly says, Yanks need Rizzo for next season. Hey, you're not wrong. I mean, as a left-handed hitter, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from him, like contact-wise and defense-wise, I think he could be good. 32 years old. I said a couple of weeks ago when I was having a conversation with Patrick, I think, that I thought that Rizzo was over the hill, but that was just from watching his stats, looking at his numbers, which were not super impressive. But it might be that he knew he was going to be traded, and, they don't really have to pitch to him. And, he's not really playing for anything in Chicago, so maybe his number's down a little bit. He definitely looks energized, and he looks like a good ball player to me. Great bat speed, great defense, really quick hands, really quick tag. I'm loving it. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to re-signing him. Depends on how the next, 2 months go. But, if he hits 10 home runs over the next couple months, it's going to be hard to say no to him. Everything that the broadcasters were saying was that he's built for Yankee Stadium, that all his teammates and the scouts say he's built for Yankee Stadium. If he had been playing his home games at Yankee Stadium this year, he would have 26 home runs and not 16. So take that as you please. And Joey Gallo is, I believe, under contract for next season too. So right there, that's 2 lefties if you sign Anthony Rizzo. And I don't think they're going to let Rougned Odor go. He's been playing so much better. He really does look like he's transforming. It's kind of like what Didi Gregorius did, only he's doing it faster. Didi had a really bad first season with the Yankees, or at least, first half of season. Rougned Odor got off to a really bad start, swinging and missing too much. But lately, it's not just home runs. He's picking up big singles, line drives. I'm loving it. He's figuring out how to change that launch angle. Caleb Fields, says, re-sign Rizzo. Please, God. Well, I will say this. I was terrified when he got hit by a pitch in the first inning. He took one off the hands there. Hey, that kind of thing can throw somebody off. Hand injuries can be trouble, and to bounce back and hit a home run is it's big. It's big. Lefties hit bombs at Yankee Stadium. Darth Wacko telling it like it is. Jeff J says, Derek, what's the word on Sevy? If we get a strong August, September, October from him and keep Stanton in left field, Gallo, Judge rotate center field, right field, and Voit DHs. So I agree with your second part. Sevy is apparently throwing sim games. I think we'll see him late August, early September. That's not really enough time for him to get stretched out deep. You might remember a couple years ago when he came back at the end of the season, he was just getting stretched out. He came back in like late August or something like that. And he ended up pitching like 4 or 5 innings a couple of times in the playoffs. So I don't see him going 7 innings in any playoff games, but if he can come back strong and you can get a good 4 to 5 innings out of him in a playoff game, that can be a big difference. I personally think he's going to end up in the bullpen this postseason if the Yankees get there. But if Garrett Cole pitches you through a wild card game and Luis Severino's throwing well, he can really extend that rotation in the division series because when he's on, he can pitch like an ace. There was about a 2-year stretch there where he led baseball in games where it was 7 innings and 1 earned run or less. And now all of the injuries, you don't know what he's going to be. I'm still a little bit skittish on him because I feel like just the injuries are going to be a big problem. It's tough to once you start breaking down to ever really fully recover. A lot of guys aren't able to. Taco Nacho says, instead of paying $300 million for a shortstop, let's re-sign Rizzo and Gallo for the price of a shortstop. I don't think you need to sign Gallo this offseason. Rizzo, I mean, it depends on what he wants to do. I mean, how many teams will be bidding for him? If a team wants a first baseman and they're a contender to bid, millions and millions of dollars, the Yankees can trade them Luke Voit because he's cost controlled. Most owners in baseball aren't looking to spend a couple $100 million. And I don't think Rizzo's going to cost you more than, let's say, 5 years, $15 million each, or $15 million a year, kind of like the contract that DJ LeMahieu got. $75 million over 5. Would you do that in the chat? Would you do 5 years, 75? Jack Smith says, what is your confidence level in Haney? It's hard to say. I mean, I'm looking at him as a depth piece, but they made a really good point on MLB Network yesterday, which is he got off to a really good start a couple of years ago, and then his friend died. You remember that Angels pitcher? I think it was Tyler Skaggs who passed away. And since then, Haney has not been the same. And so maybe a change of scenery, some new energy, pitching in a playoff race, a lefty in Yankee Stadium. Maybe that energizes him. We'll see. The Yankees had a really bad first half. They had a really, really bad first half. They need to, I guess, sort of recapture the energy of a winning team. They need to have a hot August, and it's going to be hot. But I'm talking about wins. They need to win 20 games, 22 games, something like that in August. Seriously. We got a lot of comments about Rizzo being amazing. Just what a night for Anthony Rizzo. Gadula Gerduni, sorry if I butchered that, says Gallo at third and package Voit, Urshela, and Torres. I don't think so. I think Gallo's such a good outfielder. I think you'll leave him out there in the outfield. I just don't see it. It seems like a lot of people are saying yes to the 575, but CS says he wants more than that. He wants $100 million. Well, so do I. It doesn't mean I'm going to get it. And Anthony Fernandez says that's too cheap. Rizzo won't accept that. Well, somebody would have to be willing to outbid that. And I just don't know how many teams are going to do that. First base is not a position anymore that you need to overpay for. There's a lot of first basemen that you can get that can be productive that won't cost you as much. Now, you could make that as an argument to not re-sign him too, but just watching the way he swings and the way he plays defense, he's exactly the type of player that the Yankees need. I wish I had seen it sooner, but a lefty who hits fly balls and a great defensive player, good clubhouse guy, all smiles. His teammates seem to love him. Apparently he's great with the fans. I would not be, it's kind of early. It's two games. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I would not be upset if the Yankees re-signed him just based on what I'm seeing right now. Hayden McLean says, would you be prepared to let Judge walk when free agency comes around? Let's see what happens between now and then. He's such a franchise player that's kind of a bridge you need to cross when you get there. Puerto Rican veteran with the dono. I think first priority this offseason should be trying to sign Seager. If that fails, we should try and re-sign Rizzo and lefty center fielder. So in terms of the lefty center fielder, Jason Dominguez is right around the corner. He's been on base all 14 games now in low A. I don't have his updated stats. If somebody could go to MILB.com and post his updated stats, I'll put them on the screen for you and give you an air horn. But he's been dominating at low A. And the Yankees and scouts seem to think he's going to take off like a rocket. I think we might see Dominguez by the end of next year. So I don't know if we need to spend on a center fielder. I think the combination of Estevan Florial and Greg Allen, or if he's somehow still on the roster, Aaron Hicks, can get you through till September next year, and then you turn it over to the Martian. That's the way I would do it. Get this kid up at 19. Let him be our Juan Soto. Juan Soto was up at 19. Mike Trout was up at 19. And if he struggles, so what? Get him the experience so that he can dominate when he's 21, 22, 23. That's what I would do, just personally. But I do think that Seager could be a possibility. If you sign Seager, that means you need to shift around your infield. Maybe you move Gleyber Torres back to second and trade either Urshela or LeMahieu. I don't think they'll trade LeMahieu. I think they love LeMahieu. He's a contact guy. Urshela is so good at third base, you'd hate to do that. It's going to be a tough decision for Brian Cashman. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, although he is getting paid to make these decisions. Martin Kalunga says, what do you think about the Mad Max and Turner trade to the Dodgers? Do you think they gave up too much? Well, I'm not really familiar with the Dodgers prospects, so I don't want to comment on that, talk out of turn. But the Dodgers with Max Scherzer and Trey Turner in the playoffs, geez, that is going to be a tough team to beat. Rican Veteran said he doesn't want a superstar center fielder, but somebody on like a 2-year or a 1-year deal has decent insurance for Hicks. Why not Greg Allen? Greg Allen has shown me a lot. I know he's not hitting right now, and I don't think he's going to hit a ton, but he's a great defensive center fielder. But if I had to guess, 2-year deal for Brett Gardner. That's what they're going to do. I promise. Well, maybe not. Lamar says, Yanks are back. We're coming for that number 28. Okay, so Ken Jack says these are the numbers for Dominguez at, I don't know if this is single A or just overall in the minors. 717 OPS, 1 home run, 8 RBI, 2 stolen bases, 365 on base percentage. So, not dominating, but, he's on base 14 days in a row, so he's 18 years old. So he's, he's doing okay. Javi Baez apparently hit a home run for the Mets tonight. Look, Javi Baez is one of the more exciting guys to watch. And it bothers me that he's on the Mets because I love watching him, but I hate watching the Mets. And I'm not one of those people who just hates the Mets. It's just that they feel it almost feels like JV, even though they're in first place, they're doing fine. I just I'm just a Yankees guy, and I have trouble watching the Mets. Lamar says Clark Schmidt on the way. So Clark Schmidt, let's go on Clark Schmidt a little bit. When he came up last year, a lot of command issues. I got really excited this winter when I saw him throwing a bullpen because his mechanics looked really clean. He had been falling off to the left a lot when he first came up, and he fixed that. He had been missing arm side. Just the physics of it, I could explain it. I'm not going to. But it looked like he fixed that in the bullpen. And then he gets hurt at the beginning of spring training, and I'm thinking, all right, well, he was obviously trying to overthrow a little bit, because when you overthrow and you open up that front side, it puts pressure on the elbow. And he's a guy who's had elbow issues, and you can see why. But if he pitches well through the minors, it may change my opinion on him. I want to see what he looks like with my own eyes. I want to see if he's fixed his mechanics. His mechanic. Let's see here. We got a super chat from the bro Geo. The Yanks see the Rays in the wild card who hit Cole well. Hey, look, first of all, don't know. It's possible. I don't think anybody hits Cole that well. I would take Garrett Cole in a one game, like pumped up. I would take him. And also I would see if he could figure out a place to hide that sticky tack. Put it on the back of your knee or something. Just make sure you have it for that game. Douglas Rouse says 2-year deal for Gardner. Are you trying to get this video just like I was being sarcastic? I don't think there's any way that the Yankees are going to bring back Gardner, even though he does have an option. Gallo in an epic slump. This is just who Gallo is. I mean, he was, I think, 2 for 23 with the Rangers and 0 for 8, something like that with the Yankees. But he does this. That's who he is. He's a streaky guy who, when he's cold, is going to strike out and walk a lot. And when he's hot, most of his hits are going to be home runs. One thing I do like about Gallo, he's not going to hit into a lot of double plays. There was a stat where he's only hit into 9 double plays in his entire career, which I think is one of the best ratios in baseball for as much as he's played. Let's see here. Tyler Wade for Remax agent. I'll tell you what. He did pick up a base hit tonight, but I think the Yankees next year, if they're going to spend money, spend on an actual utility infielder. Get somebody who can move around. Why not just make DJ your utility infielder where he plays every night but plays a different position? That way you're constantly giving guys a day off. That's what they originally intended to do with DJ LeMahieu. Remember? They signed him and said, you're going to play pretty much every day, just not on opening day. And then he puts up 2 great seasons, and now you have to play him in a position. If I'm the Yankees next year, I'm getting somebody else for the infield to replace Wade as your pinch runner guy and your last string infielder. And I'm just making DJ LeMahieu the utility guy. That's kind of what I'm doing. Let's see here. Darth Wacka says, I can't watch baseball unless the Yankees. I agree, 100%.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I mean, that's not 100% true. I'll watch sometimes. I can't watch entire games unless it's the Yankees or there's some kind of a Yankee connection or there's a no-hitter going on or something like that. I can watch baseball, but if the Yankees aren't in it, my attention drifts. AB says also Gallo's gotten unlucky a couple times. Yeah, don't forget, if yesterday's game is played in the Bronx, he hits one in the bleachers because he hit one just in front of the warning track that would have probably been out at Yankee Stadium. Dean Jones, though, has it right on the nose. Not LOL. He says, too many left on base. Yeah, 19 men left on base. It seems like every night the Yankees leave between 15 and 25 men left on base. I mean, you can't win like that. They're going to have to start getting some of these guys in. But right now, when I look at this offense, I just see, I don't know. Yeah.
That is one big pile of shit.
That's what I see. Clark Schmidt in his first rehab start tonight, 3 innings pitched, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Now, he did pretty well at the lower levels of the minor leagues last time. I want to see how he does against pickier hitters who are taking those close pitches and who can catch up to his fastball. I want to see when he overexerts himself if he's going to open up and fly open on that front side and cause pressure on that elbow. Because if he is, he's not going to last long. But if he's really controlling his mechanics, then, maybe he'll have a shot. Hi, 12397 says, see, Derek, we are turning the corner. let's tap the brakes, guys. Let's tap the brakes. This is a team that was dead in the water. We just lost 3 out of 4 to Boston. You can't win a couple of games against the Marlins and think you've righted the ship. We did do well against the Rays, but we still got beat 14-0 in the last game. This offense still leaving too many men on base. When are the Yankees going to score 14 runs? When are the Yankees going to put up numbers like that? Until that starts happening with regularity, I'm not saying they're turning the corner. Talk to me on August 20th, and we'll see how they're doing. I believe they have a shot to get the wild card now because they've added some good pieces. But I still don't think they're catching the Red Sox, and I still don't see them beating the Red Sox in the playoffs. Lamar says, is it too early for an Anthony Rizzo statue?
Yes, sir.
Circuitry says, we've been doing better ever since we got Rizzo. It's been 2 games. Let's not put the cart before the horse, guys. All right, guys, that's it for me. Have a good Sunday. I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters. I make fresh content on Wednesdays and Sundays. That's for Patreon subscribers only. So follow the link in the description to join. Next season, we're going to be breaking out Patreon exclusive watch parties. So don't miss that. I'll see you next time.